Good evening and welcome to the show. This is Andy's Shed Live for Sunday the 5th of January 2025. Can't believe it, it's a new year. Hello and welcome to the show, and welcome back to the live chat on the side of the screen. Yeah, it's taken us a while, but we've finally got there. We've finally managed to do it. And hello to everybody who's in the chat. We've got Wesley there and Christopher there, all already. I can see, and I'm in there as well. And it is not only live chat that we have got. The ex-patrons amongst you, who used to be with us on Patreon. Now there is a new way to support the show at buymeacoffee.com. All you have to do is when I find it, follow this link. It's https, or www will work as well, I think. buymeacoffee.com/Andy'sShed, and you can buy me a cup of coffee, basically, and it costs just £2 to do it. And it's a one-off thing. It's not recurring like it used to be, where we used to say sign up for £1 a month. It's a one-off thing, so you can just do it whenever you think we've done something that's of value to you. If you want to, you can just press that button, and it stays in the bottom of the screen somewhere. Oh, it's there, isn't it? It's there. There's a little link to it down there as well. So yeah, so we've made that work, and there is the thing, buymeacoffee.com/Andy'sShed, and Christopher's done it already, so thank you for that, Christopher. He did it last week, and if you do it while we're on air, something happens, I'm told, but I'm not quite sure what. What's everybody up to? Happy New Year, says Gambo, who's joined us. Happy New Year to you too, Gambo, and everyone else. Neville's here. Hi, Neville. Wesley's here. Hi, Wesley. Christopher says, I'm doing my shed as a games room, so I'm putting a 1970 PNG 801 telephone as a landline phone in there. Right, so you're not building a strategy exchange in your shed then, Christopher. Wesley says, can you set up a regular coffee, Andy? Not yet, Wesley, not yet. We're working on that, but yeah, that becomes a bit more involved, shall we say. You can't set up a regular one at the minute, but we're working on it. So yeah, all options will be available, and they take less of a cut of it than PayPal did as well, or not PayPal, Patreon. Yeah. So there we have it. That is what is going on there. Not much telephone news to report yet this week. I have bought something that is due to arrive. I have bought a blue 706. A blue 706. Well, what people tell me is the rarest colour. I don't agree. Yeah, because I keep finding them. And people say, oh, blue ones are the rarest colour, you know. And that. I'm sure that's wrong. I'm absolutely positive. Because the colour I don't see many of is yellow. It's topaz yellow. That's the colour I don't see many of. I see quite a few blue ones. I do not see many yellow ones. I'm a bit over there, aren't I? I need to be over here a bit. So yeah. Yeah, we're a bit. This camera's got a weird thing on it where it doesn't sit where you want it to sit. I think it's worn out. The little sort of ball and socket thing is gone loose on it, so it doesn't necessarily go where you want it to go. But yeah, I think topaz yellow is a rarer colour of telephone than Concord blue. What do you think? I'd be interested to know your thoughts on that. What do you see most of? But yeah, so yeah, Concord blue is on the way once again, or dirty pond water green, as some people call it, because it is a bit of a muddy colour, isn't it? It's not very inspired colour. Christopher said he did his live siren on New Year's Day, he said, but the live stream didn't go right. Because his mic stopped working. He says, but he did film it. Yeah, live streams never go right, Christopher, particularly around Christmas and New Year. You always have trouble with them. We always have trouble with them around Christmas and New Year. When we try and be clever, it comes back to bite us. I'm amazed in the summer that the Blackpool one went as well as it did. To be honest, if you search on the channel for the Big Day Out in Blackpool, you will find the Blackpool live stream and that, where we kept hopping on and off all day. But the actual stream was up all day long with the chat on, and we just kept hopping in and out of it. It's good to watch it back now after the event, because you can skip through the bits where we're not on now. So yeah, it's the Big Day Out in Blackpool if you want to go back and check that out. Yeah. So yeah. I have made another purchase this week. Bought another stationary engine this week. Another Petra 1 stationary engine has arrived. It's sat in the back of the van at the minute, because since I fetched it yesterday, it's been chucking it down with snow and then rain. So it's not really been fit to go outside and get it out the back of the van. Yeah. Christopher says the mic only stopped working on his last year when he put the siren on, so I think you can hear him all the other times and that. So yeah, Christopher has got his YouTube channel, of course. If you just search YouTube for Christopher 2000, I think you'll find him. Right. So yes, one thing telephone related. That is coming up this week is Viscounts. Yeah. Now, what was I going to say? I'm reliably informed, mainly by Arthur, that Viscounts are becoming collectible, and this one was sent in the other week. This one that I've got here was sent in to us the other week, I think by Arthur, although it was a mystery package with no name or anything on it, but I suspect it was Arthur. And this Viscount was in bits. You may remember we featured it in bits and said, where did the plugs go? Well, when I had a second look at it, I realised that the plugs and sockets were basically different, so you couldn't really get on that wrong. But it has got another problem that has now reared its head, and that problem, if I swap the cameras, is related to the keyboard. Now, what we've done here is I've taken, oh, I'm a bit quiet, aren't I, tonight? I've taken the keyboard. Hang on. Why am I so quiet? There we go. That better? That's better, isn't it? Right. I've taken the keyboard off this Viscount. As you can see, that goes on there like that normally, and that goes on there, of course. We've taken this off. This is hard to get off of a Viscount. It's really hard. Getting a Viscount apart is not easy, let me tell you. But we've managed it with this one. Because what we found is when we pressed a key, it didn't register. And the keyboard should be here. Now, what the keyboard is a strange sort of little rubbery membrane thing. Yeah. And what the idea is, this sits on here. It's got little feet on it actually, here, and here, that clip through 4 little holes on here. Yeah. And also on the back of this goes this, which you're not going to be able to see, I know, but this is a clear piece of plastic that also fits on there, and it has got holes in the back of this plastic. I don't know if you can see the holes if I get it in the right light, but it has got holes that correspond to the middle of each key. And what happens, that goes on there and you press whatever button you want to press, and the idea is then that the back of these, or at least possibly the back of these, should be painted with a electrically conductive paint, and then on the keyboard here, I don't know if you can see, but there are little pads with an isolator gap between them. And what happens is when these electrically conductive paint on the back of the buttons touches those pads, it bridges the pad, and that is what makes a key press. Now, I can't see any electrically conductive paint on the back of here, and then this goes on anyway, this clear thing. So what I'm wondering is if there's a bit missing, if there should be something else that goes through the holes in this clear plastic sheet and attaches to the back of these keys on that sort of greeny bit, because you can see there's holes in that, as if something like presses into those holes. And I'm wondering if there's like a layer of this sandwich missing, and that's why I'm not getting the key pressers. So if anybody out there's taken a Viscount apart before, please let me know if I've got something missing off the back of there. These little electrically conductive buttons or whatever that should be on the back of there. I think there's a bit missing, but I'm not certain. And the thing is, Viscounts are so difficult to get apart, I really don't want to take another one apart if I don't have to have a look. Because they're not easy to get apart without damaging the case. Has anybody come up with any ideas? Wesley says, I've got a tan coloured DTMF Viscount which doesn't generate the correct tones for 0. This might be useful. Yeah, well, that's probably the reason for it, Wesley. It's probably not generating. I can show you what it does if I plug it in, because I have put it all back together now. So when it arrived, it had got lots of connections disconnected. if I plug it in, the phone on my desk, the famous black phone on my desk, is on extension 23, I believe, at the minute, even though it says 21 on the dial label. I've just not got the dial label sorted. But if I now plug in this Viscount, which I've now done, I should now have a dial tone, and I've got a dial tone on it at the moment. Right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and ring this phone here with the Viscount. So I want 23, so the numbers go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, star, 0, hash, and down the bottom row there's like S and nothing and MR on the other side. But right, so if I can bridge these little contacts on here, I should be able to dial 23. So I've got to bridge that middle one first, then that one, and that will give me 23. So if I get a screwdriver and go I think I did it wrong. Hang on. No, I did it twice that. There we go, 23. And if I now pick that up, and I should be able to blow down that and blow down that, and it is working. It is working. So now hang the phone up again. So when I do that, on the contacts, this Viscount is working. So these contacts are not bridging. Now these contacts were dirty as well. They've got a sort of grey crud on them. That tarnish that was on them, I've scraped it off using a tiny little flat bladed screwdriver. I've just very gently rubbed, and it came straight off and left them nice and silver and shiny, although you probably don't look it because of the way the light is on here. But what you have to remember is these contacts can tarnish. The rest of the circuit board doesn't tarnish because it's lacquered. You know, that's why it's green. But these bits have to be not lacquered, so they make contact, and they were tarnished. So I've cleaned them up now, and it does work. But I need the little thing to put in there, so I can just put them together like that, you see. Didn't work that time. There we go. That's it. 23. Right, I'll hang it up. There. So, if anybody knows if I'm missing a bit of Viscount, please get in touch and let me know. If you are taking a Viscount apart, the bit that's hard to get apart is here, because here in the case there's a little bobble on the side of the case down there, in that slot down there, and that little bobble on the inside of the case sticks through this here. So what you have to do, I've found, is put a screwdriver in there and I think I lever it upwards and it came off. But remember, there's a screw to take out in there first, just there. There is a little screw to take out. So this Viscount is technically working. If I could make the keypad work, it's got a physical, mechanical fault with the keypad. So that's what's wrong there. So I will turn that over to you guys. come up with any ideas on how we might fix that, because I just don't know on that one. And I have got other Viscounts, but like I say, they're so difficult to take apart. Don't really want to unless I have to. And I can't find anything online about it either. I've downloaded a user guide for it. I typed in like something like Viscount telephone wiring diagram. Got a user guide, but not really a maintenance sort of guide for it. So while I got the user bit for the Viscount, I didn't really get a maintenance bit for it. So that was not terribly helpful. What are people saying in the chat? Wesley says, I don't think there is anything omitted when compared to mine. Right. So maybe it is just the backs of these that is supposed to be conductive then. Maybe it's just the backs of those. You can buy paint, conductive paint, to paint onto the backs of rubber keyboards. You know, for like restoring like Sinclair Spectrum computers and things like that. That had those terrible rubber keys. Can you remember those? This was also broken. This, the number 3, was broken on this, but I appear to have fixed it. So maybe I just need to put some rubber. Some of this conductive rubber paint on the backs of there. I don't know. Something doesn't seem quite right there. Something just doesn't seem quite right. Well, we'll have to do some more investigating on that. Wesley says there's maybe carbon on the rear of them. Yeah, I think there is, Wesley. I think, or at least I think there should be. But I look at it and I don't see anything. You'd think there'd be some residue that you'd see on there, wouldn't you? And I can't see anything. And also, when it goes through this clear film with the little holes in that you can't see very well, you see that with the holes in, then that's going to act as like a bit of a standoff, isn't it? So that attaches on there. So would it operate through that? See, and there's a tiny little hole in the tops of each key as well. If I can get that up close to that camera. Right, can you see the little holes in the top of each key? Now I'm wondering if something should go in those holes. Although there aren't any on the bottom row, the orange row. So I don't know, but I might just have to paint the back of this with some of that conductive paint. I might have to get some of that conductive paint and just paint the back of this with it and see what happens. Yeah, but the keyboard was quite easy to get off the circuit board. It was just held on with 4 like little pointy clip things that you could, well, it should be held on with 5 or 6, I think, but it wasn't. But you just undo those pointy clip things, and it worked. Now you see, that layer has fell off again. But where the hell have I put it? It's so easy to lose this. It is so easy to lose. So that goes. Back on there. Doesn't want to go back together, so I've finally got that. Is there a right and a wrong way up? Yeah, there is. Right. It's gone back together now. And then that just just clips back on there like that, you see. So what you should get when that does that, I've set this to tone dialing at the minute so I can hear if I'm getting a key press. But let me plug it in again and have another go, because you never know, the magic of the live stream, now we're actually on the stream, it might suddenly work. So yeah, let's have another go, shall we? Right, I'll pick it up. No, it is not registering any key pressers. That at all. So I think there's something missing. I really do think there's a layer missing in the back of here. But I'm not 100% certain. So let us know your thoughts on that one. Wesley says, have a look at the wording moulded in the case regarding user serviceable parts. Is there anything moulded in the case regarding user serviceable parts? It says, put a multimeter on ohms across the back of the keypad to see if it's conductive in the region of kiloohms. That's a good idea. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, I've not got a multimeter to hand where I am at the minute, but yeah, I will certainly have a go at that between now and next week, Wesley. Regarding user serviceable parts, does it say anything? Yeah, it says no user serviceable parts inside. Yeah, right. Right. Okie dokie. Right. Just bear with me a moment. I think the dog wants to go out. Just 1 second. I will be right back. I'm back, I think. Right, I'm back at about the right volume as well. Yeah, I think I am. Right, I'm just looking what folks have said in the chat. Wesley says that's why they're a pain to get apart and no user serviceable parts inside. Yeah, you could be right. Christopher says, did you get my email of my New Zealand phone? I've got an email from you, Christopher. I've not looked at it yet because I've not got email set up again yet on this computer. So I've not looked at it as yet. Also, I was repairing the dial on my 1970 black PMG 801. He said, oh, well, I hope you managed to get the dial off. I hope you had more luck getting the dial off yours than I've had getting the dial off mine, which somebody has super glued on, for those of you who have been around a while. But, yeah. Right, anyway, I think we've probably done as much as we can do with this for today. So I will put this to one side. For a while. While we try and get it sorted out. But yeah, it's a real pain to take apart that. A real pain to take apart those. A real pain. Really not easy to deal with at all then. Christopher says he got the dial working on his phone. Excellent. Once you get it out of the phone, you probably can. My problem is that somebody super glued the one in on mine. Yeah. Right. How are we getting on? Let's have a little look. Oh, Dominic's with us. Hi, Dominic. He says, putting together a new cabinet for my hi-fi, he says. He's plugged his Ivory 312 in the phone line simulator in the new house. Excellent. Does it work? Is it operational? I was in Thorn the other. What was I in Thorn for? I was in Thorn on New Year's Day, or next door to Thorn. I was in Hatfield Woodhouse, Dominic, on New Year's Day. We had a stationary engine due in Hatfield Woodhouse, so I wasn't far away. But yeah. Hope all the phones are working for you. I hope they survived the move as well, because you were a bit worried, weren't you, about packing them for the move? Have you unpacked them yet? Have you found out if you've got any horror stories or not? Dominic said he was moving in most of his stuff on New Year's Day. Crikey! There you go then. That's it. You are ensconced as a resident of Thorn now, then, are you, Dominic? Yeah. Always hairy when you move. I don't think I could. I think there's so much stuff here now. I don't think I could move if I wanted to. I'd quite like to move, but I don't think it's possible. Just looking at the big mountain of stuff down the side of me here. Yeah. Dominic says, I'm not fully unpacked, but I've inspected it, all the phones, and they look fine. Right. Yeah. Okie dokie. That's the good start. That's a good start. We'll keep us fingers crossed for you. And hopefully everything will be okay. I do worry about moving Diacon though. It is such a brittle plastic Diacon. Never seen anything like it. You can make a phone case out of glass and it'd be more resilient than Diacon. Yeah, it's just terrible stuff. Yeah, so yeah, that's all the phone stuff that we've been up to really this week. So it's been a Viscount sort of week this week. Not that there aren't a load of others down here waiting to be done. I mean, there's the last blue 706 I got still down here waiting to be done. It's got a big break in the front of it that needs the old putty trick doing on it, but it's such a big piece missing. I don't know if it's beyond what I could do, actually. It might be beyond. I'm going to have an avalanche if I'm not careful. Yeah, this one, you see, I've got a big chunk missing out the front of it. I've shown you this before, I've had it quite a while, this. It's also got a bit dusty, but it's got such a big chunk missing. I think that's always going to be very noticeable. So I'm wondering about possibly putting a repro case or something on this one, because you just don't find blue cases. You know, old cases, you just don't find them. But otherwise, it will be a nice phone. This one, as you can see, it's got the alphanumeric surround and that on it. Dates from 1966. This one, so it will be a nice one to get going and restored. But yeah, needs work, I think is what they say. What's in there? It's an empty box, that. Got an empty box. Thought there was something in that, there isn't. So yeah, we've got all sorts that is being worked on at the moment. Chuck that down there. So yeah. Dominic says, that's such a shame. If I was to get another phone, I would get a Concorde Blue 706 or Mark 1 746. Yeah, well there's certainly some Mark 1 746s about. You just have to study the photos on eBay and that very carefully, but there are some about. Christopher says, I was having fun at my neighbour's on New Year's Day, he says, but my mum had too many beers. Nice one, Christopher's mum. And I saw on eBay a blue Mark 1 746L from 1968. Oh, I haven't seen that, Christopher. Is that on the Australian eBay? Yeah, I've not seen that. That would be a good 746 to have done. Don't know if I've got a Mark 1 in blue. In 1968, there's a very good chance it will have the alphanumeric bezel on it as well. Might not necessarily, I think only certain ones had them. But yeah, that would be a good one. If you want a Mark 1 746, Dominic, a blue one would be good. Yeah, aren't so many of them about. Yeah, I'm just trying to remember if I've got a blue one or not with the alphanumeric bezel on. I know I've got a black one. I know I've got a red one. I think I've got a green one. Have I even got an ivory one? I'm not sure. I think I might have an ivory one. I'm really not sure about a blue one though. Really not sure about a blue one. Yeah. Yeah, not sure if I've got a blue one or not. Yeah. I don't rightly know. Is the simple answer to that one. Yeah. Is it Australian eBay, Christopher, or British that we're talking about? Just let me get rid of that. Right, got too many things open on my desktop all at once. It was slowing down a bit. Dominic says, I've never seen a photo of a blue 746L. Yeah, I think, well, I'm fairly sure they exist. I'm fairly sure 746L exists in all the colours that they did 746s in, except obviously for brown, because they never did a Mark 1 in brown. But yeah, shall we have a look, see if we can find it on eBay? Let me have a little look. Right, I'm having a look. Finding red ones. Green 746 vintage. Yeah, you see, that's one from 1968. Right, so how do I show you guys this? Right, now, let's have a little look. To remember how to do this, because I've reinstalled the software, you see, and it's all different. No, it's not that. Window capture. It's that. Right, that's how we do it. think you should be able to see it at that. Right, there we go. So that then apparently is a 746 Mark 1, and it looks like a Mark 1. You see, if you go with that picture, you can tell that's a Mark 1. And you look underneath it, and it definitely says on the underside, it definitely says 746L on the underside of that. There you go, see, can you see that? 746L AEG 68/1. So it is a 746L, even though it's lost its lettered dial surround. So that would be an excellent one to restore. That one would, yeah. That would be really good to restore. That one. Yeah. 746L. But that has also got to break on the same blooming corner, look. Same corner as that 706 I've just shown you, and that has got a smashed corner as well. And of course it's in the case, and you can't get a replacement case because it's a Mark 1 case, and they don't make Mark 1 replacement cases. So you would have to be a bit good with the old acetone putty to repair that. But it ought to be done, because somebody might buy that and take the case off and make it a red one or something instead of like that. But yeah, that one really did ought to be restored. So if anybody wants to have a go at that one, it's listed as a green 746 vintage GPO telephone, rare colour. But of course we know it's not green, and it's in mould, the place, apparently. What does the description say? Dark green 746 vintage telephone, rare colour, in nice clean condition, apart from piece of plastic missing in front right hand corner. Has original line connection lead, also converted to modern cable plug and socket system, not tested, sold as seen in the photos. Well, it's not got the original line connection lead though, has it? Because somebody's put a grey one on, if you can see there, you know, which is basically what I use when I'm doing them. But it's not the original one. It looks like it could do with the curly cord winding the other way and recoiling as well. But apart from that, very good. Yeah, it'd be a good restoration project, that. And it's got no bids at the minute, sitting at £15 with no bids and £3.90 postage. Which, to be honest, is all of its money, really, isn't it? You wouldn't pay much more than that for it, but it's there. It's reasonable. If you want a project to do, it's there. That is. What are people saying in the chat? Dominic says, I've seen a topaz yellow 746L once. Or a suntanned ivory one maybe. But it was very even if it was. Yeah, it's hard to tell sometimes. Arthur's with us. Hi Arthur. He says topaz yellow Mark 1 746s are the rarest I have found. If you think my comment is a bit behind, you're right. I only got on here about 5 minutes ago. Right, so you're watching it sort of behind everybody else then, Arthur. Yeah. But when you get to this point, we'll find your comment. Yeah, I agree with you. I think topaz yellow's the rarest colour. A lot of things that people say are topaz yellow are not. They're actually ivory phones that have had a suntan. Like a lot of these green phones that people say are green are actually blue ones that have had a suntan. Dominic says, I'm tempted by that phone, but I will need some more broken Concord blue bits to make the slurry. I may be able to help you there, Dominic. I think I've got some somewhere. I think I've got some. Dominic says, might as well start with the 746L base and make one from bits, I guess. You can do that. 746L bases are quite hard to come by, because by the time they got around to making 746s, a lot of companies that made them didn't put L or F on them. They just put 746. So you don't really know what was a 746L base. That one's rare in that it has got the L marked on it. But you could make a bitzer up. Wesley says, I've got a Topaz 746L with a watch receiver fitted. Is it a Topaz yellow? Is it a Topaz yellow watch receiver as well? Didn't know they did them in Topaz yellow. Never seen a yellow one. Arthur says, underneath the keyboard for the Viscount there should be a rubber pad that registers the numbers for dialing. So there should be a rubber pad under there. Right, so there is something missing. Thank you, Arthur. You've solved the mystery. Now we're looking for a rubber pad for inside the Viscount then. Yeah. Tell you something I am looking for, Wesley, and you might be able to supply us with some photos of this. I am looking for the little brackety hook thing that fits on a 746 that allows, or a 706 version as well, come to that matter, because I think they're different. But I'm looking for those little hook brackets that the watch receiver hangs on. I've got the watch receivers, but I've not got the little bracket thing that I think is a little chrome or stainless steel bracket that they hang on, that is attached to the phone, they hang on. If you've got one of those, if you could take some photos of it, that would be much appreciated, because I have a feeling I'm going to have to make one. So yeah, that'll be interesting, because my metalwork is not the greatest. It's not my greatest skill, let's say. Christopher says, I have a 746L phone, 2 grey, 1 red and 1 in black. One all stamped 746L and all AEG ones. Right. So despite the fact they're all AEG, only one is stamped, is it? That's interesting. Whereas it says it is a topaz yellow watch receiver. It would look daft with a different colour watch receiver. It would indeed. Yeah. It says I've got a red 746L with a watch receiver as well. It says I'll get some pictures of them on the forum. Yes, please do, Wesley. It says I'm sure there was one on eBay recently. I've seen the watch receivers, just not the brackets. I may have missed it though. May simply have missed it. Arthur says the main reason for sending the Viscount was for you to see how they work inside without bursting open another one, as they are difficult to open and can get damaged. If you don't know where the tricky spots are. Yeah, yeah, they are tricky, Arthur. That one that you sent, I showed it on here the other week and then clipped it back together. Being clever, I clipped it back together and put the screw in and came to open it again today to do this tonight, and it took me about an hour. Dominic says, what was the most common application for watch receivers? Was it for a secretary to listen to when making notes? But then the same can be done with a plan set phone, I think. Well, I know a watch receiver as a mother-in-law receiver. Because legend has it, when courting couple were on the telephone, the mother-in-law, generally at the bride's end, would be, or the bride-to-be's end, would be listening on the extra receiver, and that's why they call them a mother-in-law receiver or a mother-in-law handset. But strangely, they're very common on French phones, whereas most British phones don't have one. It's rare that you see a watch receiver on a British phone. In France it's the other way around. It's rare that you see one that's not got a watch receiver fitted to it. So, don't know if it says something about the French. Well, there you go. But yeah, I don't really know what the main use of them was for. Because if you think about it, if it was in an office setting or something like that, the secretary would have to sit very close to the boss because they're both on the same phone, aren't they? So I don't really know. I don't really know what the main use of them was. Yeah, I bet they charged for them though. I bet you had to pay some extra rental to have a watch receiver on your phone. Gambo says, I assume no luck in finding the bracket for the upside down phone yet. And no, I've got some, Gambo. And I reckon I've got about 10 or 12 somewhere, because I bought, there were a load on eBay, years ago now, and I bought them all because they were like £1 a piece or something, and they're in a box somewhere, and I've just got to go through everything and find them. But the problem is there is so much stuff now stacked up that it's boxes on top of boxes on top of boxes, and it's really hard to go through everything. In an ideal world, I would like every phone to be on display on a shelf, so I could get rid of all these blooming boxes and you can just see everything, like some of them are in the shelf on the loft when you see me in the loft. But there are so many boxes and boxes and boxes of stuff. This is where the museum thing comes in. This is also where that link, that that little link thing there comes in. Because if enough people buy me a coffee, we might get this museum idea up and running at some point. Because we need a museum in the UK that is dedicated to telephones, basically, because there isn't really one. Milton Keynes Museum has got a few, and Avonscroft does a bit, the museum there, but there isn't really a proper main dedicated museum. So that could be me. Because it just got so many, and there was at least one collector who passed away, and he ended up with a fair percentage of his collection. There's another guy who is very much still with us, but passed a load of phones on. There is another chap who said he just got too many and that, and he wanted to pass a load on that would possibly one day be in a museum. Yeah, so I'm sort of amassing this museum collection. One thing that I want to do is go through and list everything, like doing a session register, like museums do, where I list everything that we've got, so I can just look at the list and go, oh yeah, we've got 200 Ivory 746ers, yeah. But yeah, that's something I wanted to get done perhaps over Christmas. Well, I've got a bit of spare time, but the spare time has just evaporated over Christmas somehow. Christopher says, I can see you have your green phone in the background. He says, and Andy, do you have any old World War II jerry cans? Green phone in the background. Oh, that one. The dirtiest phone ever. Yeah, that's still there, waiting to be completed. World War II jerry cans? No, I don't think I do, Christopher. I've got quite a few jerry cans, but I don't think I've got any that are old. Most of mine are sort of 1960s and maybe 1970s, because I use them. They're not exhibits. I actually use them. I use them fetching petrol and diesel and stuff. But I have got a World War II ammo box. And again, I use ammo boxes. I tend to use them as toolboxes and things. But I did pick up one, and only after I'd bought it really did I realise that the date on it was 1943 or 1944, something like that. And apparently, if you buy anything like an ammo box or a jerry can that's got a wartime date on it, a date that falls within the war, apparently it's more valuable than those that fall outside of the war. Even though it might be the same pattern thing. That's what I was told anyway. Dominic says, the Cambridge Centre for Computing History had a database which is partially accessible to the public. Yeah, that's kind of what I want to do. There is a bit of software that you can get that does that. And I was looking at it a few weeks back, but it's quite complicated. But yeah, I was looking at this piece of software, but it's kind of like a server. You have to have a computer running all the time for this software to work. that. But yeah, I have looked at that, and that is kind of what I would like to do. But just in the first instance, just make a list on paper, I think, of what there is, because there's a lot. Oh, Arthur says, Andy, I will open a Viscount up during the week and send you the photos of that part of the phone. Yeah, just send me the photos, Arthur. If you can send me a photo, then I know what I'm looking for, and I know what bit I'm looking for then. But yeah, it does definitely seem there's something missing out of that one that was opened. Wesley says, my messages are missing. Oh. The last message we got from you, Wesley, said into eBay on it. It said into eBay. Maybe you've got a dodgy internet connection, have you? Has your internet connection dropped out for a few seconds? Because that sometimes messes up the messaging. Arthur says it may help others looking to restore their own Viscounts. I'm sure it will, Arthur. Sure it will. The rubber keys not working thing is quite common, not just with telephones, but with vintage computers and calculators and anything that had rubber keys basically. TV remote controls is another classic one, because they get pressed a lot. But it is basically when the conductive paint, or whatever it is, comes off the back of this rubber insert, and it's not conductive anymore, and so it doesn't bridge those two little plates on the circuit board. Christopher says, I have an old 6 US Army ammo box. Does he mean 60s US Army ammo box? I use one as a first aid box. Cool. And he said, I've got a jerry can from 1952, and I also have 2 modern ones from Leaded Petrol for the generator. Yeah, that's what I use them for, you see, getting petrol for generators and lawnmowers and things like that, and diesel for stationary engines and stuff. Wesley says, when I put an eBay listing number in, it doesn't show. Oh, perhaps it's because it thinks it's a link to eBay. Space it out or something, Wesley. Put dots or something in it, and yeah, it's YouTube just being awkward. Yeah. Try and space it out, put dots or something in the middle of it. But, yeah. Right. Leslie's doing that then. But yeah. Right, so we might be getting somewhere with the mystery of the Viscount. The missing bit. Be interesting. I wonder if you could 3D print it out of like a rubbery filament, this missing bit. I wonder if you could 3D print it out of a rubbery filament, then paint it with this conductive paint. Because you can get filaments for 3D printers that are rubbery, they are soft. So I wonder if that would be a way of doing it. might be worth a thought, that. Talking of 3D printing, while we're here, we are still 3D printing the model railway stuff. Can't remember if I showed you these or not, but we have got little narrow gauge wagons now 3D printed. And a tank wagon. Again, all narrow gauge, these all 009 narrow gauge. And my personal favourite, because it's come out really well, I think, is the 3D printed box van. And if you just get a slightly closer look at that, I just really like that. I think that's come out really well, that box van. Quite pleased with that. But some of these aren't available on eBay. You'll find them on eBay if you look for 009 rolling stock or something. It's me selling them. Or you can go to andysemporium.coldpress.net, and you'll find them on there too, a little bit cheaper than they are on eBay. So yeah, we're still doing the 3D printing. Christopher says, I've also got a 5 litre petrol can for a 2-stroke fuel for my 2-stroke engine. Yeah, cool. You've got all sorts out, Christopher. All sorts. The air raid siren's impressive though. I do like the air raid siren. Yeah. How did the new neighbours take to it going off on New Year's Eve, Christopher? Because you've moved since you last did it, haven't you? So yeah, absolutely brilliant. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Christopher the Air Raid Siren. Search Christopher 2000 on YouTube and look for the videos of the Air Raid Siren. Fantastic. Right. Think we might have covered everything for this week. I think we might have sorted it all. It's been a bit of a weird week, with it being New Year week and that sort of not at full strength, if you like, this week. But next week, hopefully, we will be fully back to normal. One other thing that I've been messing about with again. At the moment is this timer, this Smith's telephone timer thing. Apparently it says he, what it's supposed to do with it is that when it's at the beginning like that, it's fully wound, and you turn it on with by moving that on, and it starts ticking, and it starts moving on in time. If I can focus that. Can you see it moving? Now it's not the little black needle that's moving, that's stationary. It's the actual whole thing behind the white bit in the window that's moving. But I don't quite understand how you read it, because it's showing you prices in old money, but when they alter the rates for the telephone, you know, when GPO put their prices up or something, you must have to change that thing. That is on a paper disc inside there, and you must have to change that when the GPO alter their rates. But you see it's ticking away, and when it gets sort of round, it rings a bell, a bit like an egg timer. But I don't know how far it gets. And what is a 12-second rate, a 20-second rate, and a 30-second rate? I don't get that. If anybody can shed any light on it, let me know. But hang on, let me. Get it back in focus. Yeah, see that? That kind of winds it up again, putting it back there. And I don't know how I did it now, but the knob just pulls off like that, that's it. And then this, I've had this off before, but I can't quite remember how I did it. But I had this off and there's just a bit of paper behind it. Can't remember if it's, oh, it just lifts off, that's it. There you go, you see, and there's just a disc. Basically, it is a paper disc backed onto a piece of aluminium or something. It is stuck on there. So you must have had to get a new disc every now and again. It goes up to like 12 shillings according to this. So, yeah, so that is how that fits on there. So that's it now, back to the beginning. You can now fit that on there again. That now fits on there. That fits on there, and there we go, see. So you can set it going again now. And it'll just tick away. And tell you, assuming it's keeping good time, of course, this clock, because it is basically a clock inside it, it'll tell you what your telephone call has cost you in pounds, shilling and pence. But yeah, brilliant little thing. You get black ones as well. I've seen black ones, I've seen these sort of white ones, or yeah, I don't think it is supposed to be ivory, I think it is black. It's made by Smiths, who well known in the UK for making clocks. But yeah, quite a good thing that. Another little piece of telephone history. Wesley says, if you type GPO 706 Concorde Blue watch receiver and hook into your favourite search engine, it should show what I was attempting to share. Right, I shall try that, Wesley. Bear with me one moment. GPO 706 Concorde Blue receiver and hook. It does indeed. And then it says, see details on eBay. This listing was ended by the seller on Friday the 20th of December because the item is no longer available, i.e. they sold it outside of eBay. Has he got any others? No, he hasn't got any others. But there it is. Crikey, that's going to be a nightmare to make that shape. Right, I'll try and show you. What it is. Here is the item that Wesley found. And that's a Concorde Blue watch receiver. That must be quite rare in that colour. But it's not the watch receiver I'm particularly bothered about. It's the hook thing that one comes with. And I think that's probably £10 for the watch receiver and £20 for the hook, that 30 quid. Wesley says, is Britphone shutting down? Not that I know to, Wesley. Not that I know to. What makes you think it might be? I could always drop him a message and ask him. But yeah, it's not shutting down as far as I know to. He's just not very good at updating his website. I think he has problems getting stuff because the new phone cases and that he sells, the new shells, there's a little old guy with an injection moulding machine who makes them for him, and Mr. Britphone goes and says, oh, I want you to make me 20 of these, please, and he goes away and comes back and the guy's made about 2 rather than 20. So I think he has problems getting stuff. Wesley says the website isn't there and just points towards his eBay shop. Oh, maybe he's given up on the website. Maybe he's just selling it all through eBay now. Because it's free to sell now on eBay, so there's not, unless you do a lot of listings, there's not really much at the moment. There's not much reason to sell through your own website, because you can have up to a certain number, and it's quite a big number of listings on eBay every month for free. You can sell for free, and I've done it, and they've not charged me for the little model kits and that. They don't charge anything. I think eBay's got so much competition from other sites that they've had to make the selling free for anybody that's not a mega big trader. So that's probably why. But yeah, I ask him when I speak to him. I speak to him every now and again because he's another radio person as well. So I will ask him next time I speak to him. I'll go, here, Andy, what's happened to your website? So yeah, watch this space and I'll get back to you. I'll find out what's happening there. So yeah. Right, anyway, I think that is probably about it for today. What do you think? It's getting on for 8 o'clock, isn't it? So thanks to everybody for taking part once again today. And yeah, I hope 2025 treats you all well. We will be back here next week. I think we're on next week, and then I think we've got a week off. But yeah, we are back here next week around about the same time, same place, next Sunday evening. And then we're off for a week because I'm going to a stationary engine event, and then we'll be back again. Just before we go, I do just want to remind you about the little link down there for people who do want to support the show. Now we've got rid of Patreon because they were being a bit silly. You can now just simply buy me a coffee at this. It's www or https, whatever you want, /buymeacoffee.com/Andy Shed, or just www.buymeacoffee.com/Andy Shed. I think that works as well. But anyway, it's buymeacoffee.com, and the important bit is the /Andy Shed on the end of it, and you can buy me as many coffees as you like, and each coffee basically costs you £2 British. Which actually is a cheap cup of coffee, isn't it? I wish you really could go out and get a cup of coffee for £2. That would be quite cheap by modern day standards. Wesley says, Dominic says, do you drink coffee? What coffee do you drink? I drink any coffee, basically. I am to coffee what Big Clive is to spirits, in that basically I just drink the cheapest and it all tastes the same to me. Yeah, if you've ever seen the Big Clive at Christmas with, was it very expensive scotch that Ralphie had got, and Ralphie went out the room and Big Clive substituted it with like a bottle of scotch from Aldi or something, and the Scotch connoisseur that is Ralphie never noticed the difference. It's one of the funniest things. It's on one of Big Clive's Christmas live streams. It's hilarious. I'd like to know what's happened to Big Clive's live streams. They all seem to have disappeared, which is a great shame, because it used to be a highlight of my week watching Big Clive's live stream. Where have you gone, Big Clive? Where are all your live streams? Come on, get doing the live streams again. Gambo says eBay are making the buyer pay an extra fee. Are they? Well, I've bought stuff on eBay and I've not noticed that. So how's that working? Arthur says the blue Mark 1746L has been tampered with. No alphanumeric bezel, grey BT line cord. If it had been refurbished by British Telecom, it would not have retained the Mark 1 case. And it would have a wipe-up sticker underneath. I agree about the wipe-up sticker, Arthur. I don't necessarily agree that it wouldn't have kept the case. Not sure about that one way or the other, but you're quite right, it would certainly have had one of those stickers underneath to say it had been refurbished, one of those either yellow or red stickers that they carry, and it doesn't appear to have one unless it's been peeled off, of course. But yeah, but it's still not a bad phone, still not bad if you can repair the case. Gambo says he's on his holes for the next 2 Sundays. It says so he'll try to stay sober. Notice the try part of that. Have a good holiday, Gambo. And Gambo says he had an email informing him of the changes to buying. Right, well, I've not had an email informing me of changes to buying, so what's going on there then? Making the buyer pay a fee. Well, people will just buy outside of eBay, won't they? That's what'll happen there. If eBay start wanting to charge fees, I don't know why eBay can't just make their money out of advertising, just put an advert alongside the listing. Don't know why they can't do it that way. They're just greedy. But people will stop using them because there's all sorts of other sites like eBay Gum, which is spelled EBUYGUM, and I think there might be another M on the end. That's another site that is totally free as far as I'm aware, and of course there's Gumtree and Facebook Marketplace and all those. So yeah, eBay might be feeling the pinch. But yeah, maybe only certain people are being charged, because I've certainly not had a charge for buying, and like I say, I have bought stuff on eBay this last week and not spotted any extra charges. So yeah, interesting. But what they are doing now is they are keeping your money in an eBay account, aren't they, rather than getting it from Facebook and that. So I wonder if there's something a bit sneaky going on there. Oh, it's a new eBay buyer protection fee, is it? Well, I don't want eBay buyer protection, sod it. Don't want to pay that fee. I knew they'd come out with something naughty. I have heard something about eBay buyer protection, but yeah, I'm not interested in buyer protection. Don't want buyer protection. What it should have is seller protection. That's what eBay needs, because it treats its sellers very badly. But yeah, people will just abandon eBay again. If they start trying to charge extra fees, people just abandon it again and set up their own websites and stuff. What they'll do is sell one item on eBay, and then when they send it out, 'cause this is what I do with the motor railway stuff. If I sell one on eBay, one of those little kits, in the package when I send it out, I put a bit of paper in saying, next time don't buy through eBay because it costs more to buy through eBay. Next time go direct to our own website at andysemporium.coldpress.net, and you'll be able to get this model cheaper. And then people do go there and buy it cheaper, and eBay can't stop you doing that because they can't open every parcel, can they? So yeah. Neville says he thinks it starts from February on eBay, the buyer protection thing. Right, I'll keep an eye out for that then, Neville. Yeah, they are sneaky, aren't they? They are sneaky and greedy, just like YouTube. Really, really greedy. YouTube's always trying to get me to insert mid-roll ads into these streams and into the videos and stuff. They're always trying to get me to turn on automatic mid-roll ads, and I go, no, I'll place the mid-roll ads myself, and then I just don't place any, so there aren't any ads in it. at least there shouldn't be. If you are getting mid-roll ads in this live stream, please do let me know. Get in touch with me via the website www.andyshed.coldpress.net. Get in touch with me if you are seeing mid-roll ads, because there should not be any. I do not insert mid-roll ads into my videos. You will see possibly a couple of adverts when you first start the stream playing, but you should not then see any more. If you are doing, YouTube is inserting them without my consent, and I want to know about it, because if I find them doing that, then I'll be switching platforms, basically. And Christopher says that he's got a video of his siren on his channel, so if you want to see the air raid siren going, just search Christopher 2000 on YouTube and you'll find him. Right, that really is about as far as we go, I think, for today. Thanks to everybody for taking part once again. Special thanks to Arthur for sending the Viscount, and also for clearing up the mystery of the missing bit. I will let you know if we get any pictures of the bit that's missing, because somebody somewhere just might have that bit in a bag of bits and not realise what it is. To be honest, I might have that part in a bag of bits and not realise what it is. So yeah, we will find out. The mystery continues when we return here. Same time, same place, 6:30 next Sunday evening. But for me, for now, have a fantastic week ahead, everybody, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye for now.